Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV. Well, this is just an introductory podcast because what's going to happen next week, starting a new podcast where Kiam is going to be looking after this side of the project and he's going to be reviewing all of the weekend's games. He's going to have loads of guests on. So, Kiam, over to you. Tell the listeners what's coming up starting next week.
Yes, thanks, Andy. Really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to take on this new podcast project and to engage with our viewers and listeners. So, really exciting times for Man City Fan TV. This is going to be a new regular format where we produce a 1 hour podcast on a weekly basis that follows immediately after the Premier League fixtures for the weekend have finished. The podcasts will be available on the YouTube channel for Man City Fan TV, and they'll also be available on SoundCloud. So if you haven't yet downloaded SoundCloud, I would recommend you go into your App Store and you download SoundCloud, and then you'll be able to access the podcast on a weekly basis, and you'll be able to listen to us while you're out and about on the go. If you're going for a run, if you're down the gym, you can listen to us at your own leisure. We're going to have a wide variety of guests on the podcasts, including Manchester City fans, of course, but we will open the podcast up to fans of other clubs. We're going to try and have a nice balance as well of men and women, young and old. So there's going to be lots of different opinions on the podcasts, and we hope you guys, do get involved. If you want to get involved, you can message Kiam, that's Kiam, mcfcfantv@gmail.com, or you can also follow us on Twitter. We have a new Twitter account. It's at mcfcfantvpod, and you can send a direct message there if you want to be involved. Our primary objective will, of course, be to review Manchester City's game of the weekend. We'll do a tactical analysis. We will do a player review, and we'll do a bit of a deep dive into how the team performed, how Pep Guardiola performed. Was there anything that he missed, anything he could have done better? We're going to get some general opinion from the fans. But also, on this podcast, we're going to be looking at all of the Premier League fixtures from the weekend. So we'll look at it game by game, and we'll review the results, and we'll see how those results may impact Manchester City. And we'll also be looking to get some fan opinion from fans of other clubs as well. Let's be honest, we all have our opinions on social media. I know I'm pretty vocal when it comes to social media, especially Twitter. We all voice our opinions. We lash out when it comes to the dodgy VAR decisions and things like that. So this podcast is going to give you an opportunity to come on. It's going to give you a voice, so you can come onto the channel and you can actually have your say about the weekend's games. You don't have to type away on your keyboard. You can actually come onto the podcast and let everybody know what you're thinking. To get involved on the podcast, all you need to have is a Skype account, because we will contact you via Skype, and you can keep your camera off. You don't need to have your camera on. It's just going to be an audio call to take part in the podcast. And if you want to be involved, you can reach out via email, Kiam, mcfcfantv@gmail.com. Or you can reach out on Twitter at Man City Fan TV Pod, which is our new Twitter account specifically for this podcast. So do reach out to us, guys, because we cannot run a podcast if we don't have guests. So you guys need to get involved. It's all things Manchester City, but we also want to hear from fans of other clubs. In recent times, there's been a bit of a divide in our fan base. From the sort of social media outlets, there seems to be a divide between the older school fans who were there at Main Road and the more recent fans who came on board after the takeover. But this podcast is open to all of those fans. I want to hear from the old school guys, the guys who were at Main Road, stood outside the Claremont Road chippy queuing up for their chips on a match day. The ones who were there when they were locked out against Stoke because there was a fire in the North Stand. I want to hear all of these stories. But I also want to hear from the more recent fans, those guys who are around the world. I want to hear what your opinion is on the club. What do you think of Manchester City? What are your recent memories of the club? Why did you become a Manchester City fan as well? So reach out to us. All of your opinions are valid, and every opinion will be listened to on this Man City Fan TV podcast. So that's pretty much it for now, Andy. Just wanted to say that I'm really, really excited to be involved, and I'm looking forward to engaging with all of the City fans out there and fans of other clubs, all of our guests. Really excited to get this podcast underway. So a big thank you to yourself and Martin for allowing me to take on this project. And back over to you, Andy.
Okay, thanks, Kiam. Well, this is Andy from Man City Fan TV, and this is just an introductory podcast prior to next week's starting of the new podcast, the Man City Fan TV podcast, which Kiam is going to be looking after. And what I've done is invite two younger guests onto this week's podcast, or the introductory podcast, and that is Cal and Tom. So, Tom, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, mate?
Well, I've been a City fan for 14 years now, season ticket holder. I sit in the South Stand, level 3, and never look back, really. Always loved the club.
Brilliant. And Cal, we'll know straight away that you're not a Manchester lad.
Nah, I am unfortunately a scouser to the City fans who don't like Liverpool fans, but I'm an Everton fan. I sit in the lower Gladys in Goodison Park. I've been an Everton fan for 16 years of my life.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is obviously we're going to do a very quick sort of review of last week's game. Now, of course, neither of us, all of us could not talk about a win or any points because obviously Everton got beat last week by Burnley, and obviously City got beat by Wolves. So if we go to you first then, Cal, what happened last week, mate? Obviously it was an away game to Burnley and a 1-0 loss.
It's another loss, another poor performance, I think, from Everton. I think Marco Silva's realised that maybe his time is up. And I think he's just shooting for the star, so to say. I think Everton, he's in his own blindness. I don't think you said this to me the other day, didn't you, Andy, that when at the end, you know when it's his end, like he only has one good season at a club and then it starts to slip. And I think it just hasn't went well for him at us. And I think the Burnley game, we started off very well, very positive. I thought we defended well. Midfield, poor, but Fabian Delph, just a class player. And I think another loss, we were poor in the second half. We went out, no fight, no heart. And we got turned over by, no offence to Burnley, but an easy side that we should be getting easy 3 points with the team we've got. And it just looks like we can't be bothered, and I think there's no fight, and you can't be doing that if you want to challenge for the top 4. And we played Man City the week before Burnley. We went out there, and in my opinion, we were better. We deserved sorting out that game. We may have deserved a draw, but City were perfect. It's Man City. We lost, but we should have maybe got another goal or something. But it does hurt me that we lost to a tie like Burnley after playing so well against Manchester City. But it's 5 losses in the last 6 games, which it is frightening. We're 18th in the Prem after spending another 100 mil, which proves spending money doesn't mean everything.
Yeah, well, I mean that's 4 losses on the trot now, and like you said, you're now in the bottom 3 on 7 points, albeit Southampton are on level points in 17th, but you're down there with you're down there with Norwich and Watford. So is it time really for Silva to go, or do you think it's one of those that you're just gonna have to stick it out for this season?
You knew that I've said to you when we've been in Discord, when we've had talks on the channel, I've said I really like Silva and I want him to stay in, but I think you can't be losing to sides like Burnley, Sheffield, Villa. No offence to them sides, but we're trying to prove that we're back, like the Everton of old, and we're not doing that. We're still the Everton from 4 seasons ago.
So where's it going wrong, and what is it? Is it a defensive problem? Is it an attacking problem? Is it?
It's this stupid mark, and he has our 2 tallest defenders outside the box, and say, what are you doing? We've got our attackers in the box and our defenders out the box, and we're playing 2 CDMs. Delph, like you said to me, didn't you, Andy, that Delph will be a fantastic player. He has been. Schneiderlin, no offence to him, but he should not be in the Premier League. He's not Premier League worthy. He's just not that good, and he plays as a CDM, and we don't ever play well as 2 CDMs. Every time, when we played City, he was awful. Against Burnley, cost us the game with his stupid tackles he does and stupid passes. And it's going wrong. The fans don't want Silva in. And that's why I respect Lampard and Chelsea so much, because they've got fans. Their fans have got a connection with Lampard. And maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need a connection with someone that will actually get us on board all the time.
Like who?
Obviously, I don't think we'll get him. But I would love Arteta. I don't think that's going to happen whatsoever, but I would love Matt Everton because I think he knows the club, he knows the fans, he knows the players, and he really does love the club. But I think he's happy as City, and I do think that's his job when Guardiola does decide to step down.
So, okay, final question then. Obviously, you're in 18th. We're in October. We get to January, and you're still down in that bottom 5, 6 places. Are you worried that other teams might come in January and nick some of your better players? And if so, who would be the players that you definitely would want to keep?
Obviously, Lucas Digne. In my opinion, the best left back in the Premier League, no doubt. I think he's a phenomenal footballer. I think he's probably the only positive, really. Like who we had last year, he was consistent every game. And Gomez, I'd want to keep Gomez. Probably Richarlison as well. And Sigurdsson, no, because I think he's lazy. And he's coming to his end. Delph, definitely. Because Delph shows heart and he shows fight, and that's what confuses me. He's not even been at Everton for 5 months yet. And he sat there telling the players, come on, play for the fans. Yeah. That shouldn't be him. That should be Sigurdsson. The defence, the other midfielders, the other players, not him.
So, okay, well that's well coming up. You've got you've got West Ham at home, haven't you, on Saturday?
Unfortunately, I think we're gonna get battered.
It's all doom and gloom for the Toffees. But over to Tom.
Hi.
We've not got much more to talk about, have we?
No, we can't say anything, can we?
So what were your thoughts on last week's 2-0 defeat to Wolves?
Well, to be honest, it was sort of like the same as the Norwich game in a way. Wolves were the better side and had the better chances last week, definitely. We didn't look ourselves at all last week, whether that was the injuries or it's just the defence, really. It depends. If we're talking on the defensive front, we were a mess again last week. We should have really man-marked Traore because of his speed, but we didn't actually manage to do that. And to be honest, 2-0 was a pretty good result for us because in the first half, they had quite a lot of chances that they didn't put away. So it could have been even much more of an embarrassing result.
What are your thoughts on this? Obviously, there's been lots of discussions all week on the whole defensive side and the midfield side. What are your thoughts on the centre-back pairing of Fernandinho and
to be honest, Fernandinho he's not a centre-back, so he's doing a great job for what we need at this moment in time. But for Otamendi, he hasn't been dropped, so for me he isn't learning. Because he's made 2 errors now, or many errors in the past few games where we haven't dropped him. So me thinking from a City fan point of view is that Pep obviously thinks that he's obviously got something special, but in my opinion he hasn't. I think we should start maybe using different tactics like maybe using Howard Bellis or Garcia with Fernandinho and just test it out a little bit, because at the moment the defence is the part that's going to either make us lose the league or definitely not progress in the Champions League, definitely.
What are your thoughts? I mean, lots of City fans sort of, as you know, they come on the channel and they've said it for weeks now. What are your thoughts at the moment while obviously Laporte's long-term injury? I know we've got Stones back, but what are your thoughts on Walker as a centre-back?
See, that's what I was saying with some of the guys who sit around us last week. I was surprised that Walker wasn't put in centre-back to man-mark Traore, because if he could have combated his speed then. Obviously, he went off at half-time because of some sort of stomach bug or something, but if he'd have played that first half, even if he'd have put Cancelo in centre-back, at least we've had a little bit of speed to keep up with Traore, because that's how the 2 goals came around.
Yeah, moving into the midfield, again, lots of debate, and I know some City fans claim that Gundogan was one of the better players last week. What are your thoughts on Gundogan, let's say David Silva and Rodri in that midfield 3? Does it work?
That didn't work, and that did not work at all. It just doesn't work. Gundogan is more of a defensive midfielder. He doesn't really understand the attacking mindset. David Silva's getting older now, so he needs somebody such as like Bernardo or Kevin. Obviously, Kevin's injured, but Bernardo at that point, if he was with David, at least David has a little bit of support. With Gundogan, he's more of a defensive mindset. He's got a defensive mindset, so he doesn't work unless Rodri isn't playing. And then obviously Gundogan would go into the CDM role. So that's where Gundogan really should be playing.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. The thought of Gundogan as a CDM frightens the life out of me because he can't tackle. He rarely tackles. And I just don't think he's physically got that fight in him to be the CDM. So I think looking at the statistics, there was a stat that came out that whenever David Silva and Gundogan have played, and whether that be with Rodri or Fernandinho last year, we've got a 43% win rate.
There you go. That says it all, doesn't it? That says it all.
So why does Pep keep persisting with Gundogan and David Silva ahead of a Rodri or Fernandinho? What is it? Because we rarely ever play well with those three, or two of the three when they play together. Why does he persist with it?
I think it depends on who we're playing, to be honest with you, because in a way, when we played Norwich, they were obviously quite defensive that day because obviously the injuries, and they got us on the counter-attack. Against Wolves, really, I think it was just a poor performance out of everybody, to be honest with you. If Rodri had a good game on the Saturday, or the Sunday, shall I say, maybe Gundogan might have played better, but I just don't think Gundogan's up to the standard that we're wanting to play at the moment. I think he's more of a second, sort of like a second, like a bench warmer type thing. Yeah, definitely.
Because he's technically very, very good. Don't get me wrong, he's technically very good. But the amount of times I've seen sort of teams counter us, and it's like he's running in treacle, trying to get back. I mean, it's because he's not got those legs anymore, and I don't think he goes in for tackles since those injuries that he had. No, I agree. So, we'll talk about Foden. We'll talk about Foden sort of later, but the rumours are this morning that Sergio Aguero's been carrying a knock for quite some time, hence why he's not been called up to the Argentina squad. Is that showing? Yes, I can. It definitely is. There's many times in the past couple of weeks where he didn't look himself one-on-one. There was one against the Zagreb, when we played against Zagreb in the first half, where it got like dinked over the top. And normally Sergio Aguero would have taken a shot first time, but he tried to take it past the keeper. So whether him trying to do that was trying to keep the injury at the lowest point, I don't know. But Sergio normally would have taken a shot from that point, definitely. Yeah. He is looking a bit leggy, and he hasn't looked himself in the last couple of weeks. But here's us being all doom and gloom. Yeah. I'm sure Cal would take Gundogan, Sergio forever. Oh, definitely.
I'd take Aguero any day of the week, lads. I'd take anyone on that City side, to be honest. Even Otamendi.
Really? Listen, just a quick question on Sergio. Where do you put him in regards to strikers in the Premier League history? From what you've seen,
the greatest, no doubt, the greatest. Because let's be honest, he's done what he's done, and I know Rooney done it, but Rooney slipped off. He had a few years off. Same with Shearer coming to the end of Shearer's career. Shearer did kind of slip off. Same Henry went just wanted to discover the other leagues, but he wasn't as good as Aguero, in my opinion, because Aguero, in my opinion, like the 2015 season, when you didn't win the league, and he's had Pellegrini as manager, unfortunately. I don't like Pellegrini. Aguero was like the main person in that team, and he just gets better, and it's weird. He's like Zlatan, in my opinion. They're two players that they just learn when they get older, and they just get better and improve more as strikers. And I think Aguero's the greatest for me, in my lifetime anyway, the greatest I've ever watched.
What about you, Tom?
Well, to do it at the level, I know people say obviously Shearer and Henry, but to do it at the level that the game is at now, Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, every single competition, and over the past 5 seasons, with his injuries and without his injuries, he's got over 20 goals. Now, if you can't tell me that's not legendary, I don't know what is, to be honest with you. Because to play so many games and to still keep the same quality is just unbelievable, to be honest with you.
It is, yeah, for me. I must admit, I used to love watching Thierry Henry. I thought he was an exceptional player, but as an out and out striker, for me, Aguero's just been absolutely phenomenal. So moving on, well, we've got, if we look at the table, City currently lie in second still. I don't know how, but on 16 points, we're obviously eight points behind Liverpool. We've got Arsenal in third, Leicester fourth, Chelsea fifth, Palace in sixth, and Burnley in seventh. So moving on to next week's game, certainly for City, we take on Palace away. It's a 17:30 kickoff on Saturday. So and Everton, West Ham at home. So Cal, what are your thoughts? You're at home. You're at Goodison Park. You're facing You're facing West Ham, who are currently in eighth.
Sad.
Yes. So, what are your thoughts on next week's game for you? Can you pick up at least a point?
We've got a chance. That's all I can say at the moment. I think he's got it. If he wants to show, he's been given 3 more games by the board, but there was a lot of rumours and stuff come out in the papers and all that he was going to get sacked after the game against Burnley. But it looks like the board have said maybe you can be given another game. But if he loses the West Ham game, surely enough's enough. I think I don't understand how our defence, when it's that leaky, is going to be able to hand, and the midfield, like Del Scudbury is slow and so Schneiderlin. I don't understand how that's going to handle, Felipe Anderson, very fast, very skillful. Yarmolenko, not the quickest, but is very skillful and very, good on the ball. And that Halle, the French striker, looks exceptional. And I can see that attack tearing us up, just absolutely ripping us apart.
But then again, look how you turned up against us the other week. I thought you were excellent the other week. So you're at home. You've obviously got that support and things like that. Tom, obviously, we've got Palace away. We know what happened, certainly at home, in the home game last around Christmas time, when we got done by an absolute worldie by Townsend. What are your thoughts on? Now, what would be a must-win game?
It is a must-win game, but the form Palace are in at the moment and their home record is unbelievable, really. The City have struggled there in the past couple of years to get a grind-out result. I know, obviously, last year we got a decent result there, but we hit Palace in sort of a time where they were low on form.
Yeah.
But the year before that, when we were high-flying, we got a 0-0 draw there. So it just depends how Palace turn up, to be honest, and obviously, of course, how we turn up. Because if we go with the same sort of team as we did against Wolves, then I don't think we can get a decent result out of it.
Well, if you look at Palace, I mean, they've only scored 8 goals this season, and they've only conceded 8. They've got a goal difference of 0. Now we've conceded 9. Arsenal have conceded 11. Liverpool have conceded 6. Leicester 7, and Chelsea 14. So that apart from, I'm just trying to see, is there anybody else? No, there's only United on 8. And Liverpool, who conceded 6, so they don't concede many goals. No. But they don't score many goals either.
No, and that's what Palace are good at. They can keep a defensive mindset for the whole game, and they can catch a team with one chance and just go away with a 1-0 win, easy like that. Which is why we need to just be careful of what they're capable of and try and put as many chances away as possible.
Well, if you look at their last 5 games, it was a win, a loss, a draw, a win, and a win. So they've only lost 1 in 5. So I think it's going to be a really, really tough game. If I said to you, give me your lineup for next week against Palace, what would it be? Well,
depending on injuries, this team. So I would say Edison in goal. I'd have Walker at right back. I don't know if Stones will be back or not. I think he is.
He should be back.
Yeah, so I think it should be Stones and Fernandinho, with Zinchenko at left back.
What about Mendy?
It depends if he's fit or not, to be honest with you. I think we just need, because obviously he's got his hamstring problem, hasn't he? I don't know if he'll be back to full fitness or not, but if he is fit, then that would be good to have him back. So either Zinchenko or Mendy there. Then Rodri in CDM, De Bruyne, David Silva,
Yeah.
and then up front Bernardo, Jesus, and Sterling.
So you're dropping Sergio and Mahrez.
Yeah, I think Mahrez is.
Oh.
I think Mahrez has had his 2 games where he did all right. He obviously was really good against Everton, but he's back to his old self against Wolves. Just couldn't get any chances away. Couldn't get anything into the box at all.
So Cal, and what I'm going to do is, as you're an Everton fan, if you had to pick City's starting lineup for next week, from an outsider looking in, who would your starting 11 be for the Palace game for Man City? Hello? Cal, are you there?
Hello. Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, mate.
Ederson in goal.
Ederson in goal, yeah.
Best keeper in the world, no doubt, in my opinion. I think he's a phenomenal keeper. Right back, I think Cancelo should play. I know he didn't play that good against Wolves, but you've got to throw him in. Centre backs, I'd have Walker, have Fernandinho. I wouldn't bring Stones back yet. I think just give him a few more games where he can just, maybe come on in the last 10 minutes, get his fitness even more up. Because I think he was rushed back, and that's why he got injured again. Yeah. Left back Mendy, Zinchenko defensively is very poor, in my opinion. I think he can't pass a ball. His passes are awful. Mendy's are very good. I think midfield, Rodri has been exceptional. Looking, as a fan of Everton, I think I'd love him in our team. He's a real ball winner, and that's all. He isn't the fastest. Hell, he isn't. But he can win the ball back.
I was listening to a fan channel, a City fan channel podcast thing, and on this podcast, I heard somebody say they thought Rodri's average had been poor this season, and I was like, "What?" Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Really?"
Wow.
The other 2 midfielders, I think, should be Phil Foden. Is De Bruyne back by then?
De Bruyne should be back, yeah.
Yeah, De Bruyne and Phil Foden. Left wing, it is going to Sterling, obviously. I think he's a phenomenal footballer. Should play there. Aguero probably up front, or Jesus. Actually, Sterling a striker, but Jesus on the left and Silva on the right. Because if you watch Brazil, Jesus played on the wing, and I say this, he's a winger. He's not a striker. Jesus, when he plays on the wing, he can cause so much damage.
It's an interesting point because I think City fans even have this debate saying whether we should play Sergio as a striker and give Gabby a go on the left with Sterling on the right. What are your thoughts on that, Tom? Playing both Aguero and Gabby.
Well, the first point Pep made when Mendy got injured, and the reason why he couldn't play Jesus and Aguero together is because obviously Mendy was injured and he played the 4-4-2.
Yeah.
When Aguero and Jesus played with each other, I remember there was a goal, I think it was against Liverpool, and Aguero was clean through and he passed it to Jesus.
Yeah. Squared it to the left.
Yeah, and the celebration, the high five each other, and it was all great. See, what I think is that'd be perfect because number one, we've got 2 strikers on the pitch, but we've got a left winger in Jesus who could play amazingly there. And as Sane is injured at the moment, I think Jesus is the right man to just cover that spot and see how it works. Because if you've got 2 hungry goal scorers on the pitch, you've got a better chance of scoring goals and taking those chances away.
Yeah. Plus, obviously, I think Gabby's pretty decent in the air as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what was frustrating last week was seeing so many crosses going into the box, and you're just thinking, what, we've not got Dzeko up there. Why are you putting these balls in? And every time we play poorly or we look like we're lacking a bit of confidence or pace, you see that time and time again, balls going into the box non-stop.
It's panic. It's panic, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's panic. Yeah.
Okay, well, moving forward then, next we're going to move on to what we'll actually talk about is the Foden, Garcia and Taylor Howard-Bellis debate. Now, obviously, this book has been serialised in a national newspaper, Pep's new book, or the book about Pep, where he claims Phil Foden even if somebody offered 500 million euros for him, he would turn it down. I'm not sure whether Cheeky would turn it down or Ferran, but Pep certainly likes Foden. Why is he not getting any game time, Cal? What's your opinion from an outsider looking at Foden?
He looks very good, but come on, not many midfielders. I don't think there is, probably, maybe only, I don't even know who would get into Manchester City midfield. It is very good, but the problem is, do you want a Pogba with, like, United with Pogba? Do you want another Sancho case where he realises, I'm good and I want time to play, and then he goes away and, you have to maybe pay 100 million in the future for him. Yeah. I think Pep should just give him a few games, even if it's a game. I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's a small teams like Brighton, Burnley, teams like that, for City, like, what are you going to lose? I think when Foden plays, I think he brings that pace, that energy into the midfield, that fight, and maybe that's what you need.
Mm. Well, I can't remember how many. I think it's got 100 minutes so far this season, which is obviously not a lot, considering it's 8 games in, plus we've had cup competitions and things like that. But I heard an interesting statement this morning. I was watching the Sunday supplement, and I can't remember who it was, but they apparently, I think it was David Maddox, said he was talking to Robbie Fowler, obviously ex-Liverpool, ex-City, and he said, he is a special player. But what he said about it was, Robbie Fowler believes that in any other team, he doesn't think Foden would actually get game time. He thinks he's such a Pep style of player, like Iniesta and those, that Pep is only at City at his age would he actually get some game time, because he don't believe that other managers are picking for their team, which is an interesting point. What's your thoughts, Tom?
Well, for Phil, I think he just needs to be patient. Obviously, he's a blue in and out, isn't he? So he'll show patience, and I think he'll just wait until David Silva leaves. I think he knows that he'll have a place.
Yeah.
And when David leaves, and if you look at the games he played last year, there was one in particular where he stood out, and that was the Tottenham game. And obviously he scored the goal, and he didn't look out of place. Normally with these younger players, you sort of see, they're slightly weak in the physical side or the attacking side. But Foden looks like he's meant to be in that City squad. He just needs to wait for his chance.
No, so this is right. We're talking about last season. Yeah, we're talking about those 3 games that we played against Spurs. We had the first leg, which we lost 1-0 midweek. Yeah. We then had them at the weekend, and then we obviously had the Champions League return leg at the Etihad a few days after that Spurs game. I was at that Spurs game, and obviously he scored that diving header.
Yeah,
that was an absolutely massive game, bearing in mind that we were on the coattails of Liverpool. We were catching them. We were, everything that we needed to keep that winning run going. Such an important point of the season, because, as you know, we obviously won it by 1 point. Yeah. How can he trust Foden in such a massive game against Spurs, who were, let's face it, doing really well last season? Yeah, how can he trust him in a game like that? Yet at the moment, he's hardly getting any game time.
Well, as you'll know, Andy, when he scored that goal, the relief around the Etihad was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. After what happened midweek with the VAR decisions and everything, to get that goal, and especially the man who it was, Phil, it was the biggest relief. I've never, honestly, the atmosphere as soon as we scored was if we'd just won the league then, wasn't it? It was unbelievable.
Oh God, yeah. It was a massive game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he trusted him for that game.
I know. I just don't see why he's starting. I don't know whether it's because they were tired and he's maybe just put him in. I just don't really know why he hasn't started any games or a lot of games, because he doesn't look out of place at all. It's just maybe because it's David's last season. David wouldn't, and he's the captain. Maybe David's getting a bit more play time than he would have done. But obviously the 3 games last season that he played, obviously it's the same sort of conversation, isn't it? So it's a weird one. But I think definitely near the end of this season, and maybe definitely going into the season after that, we will see more of Phil Foden in the first team. Definitely.
Okay, well, on to the next two, which obviously we've got Eric Garcia, who we got from Barcelona. Pep loves him. Very, very technically gifted player. Only 5'10", and obviously we've got another City fan who was at the Everton game in the crowd. Cal, you might have seen him when that's Taylor Howard-Bellis, plays for the under-19s England squad. Very, very. He's not put a foot wrong, in my opinion, when we've seen him play. So, what are your thoughts on those two players from the outside, Cal? If you've seen anything of Eric Garcia and Taylor Howard-Bellis?
Saw both of them. I think, obviously, Bellis, I think he did make his debut, his first competitive 90 minutes against Preston in the League Cup. He's won, obviously, and he did boss it. I think a lot of fans have said that I've sitting on the channel say bring Garcia in, but is that the clever thing to bring Garcia in? You know, if I don't know what will happen, but say if you play at Liverpool and he starts and he's get beat 4-0, 3-0, that could ruin his confidence, and he could, that it does happen. He could go where he just doesn't, ever live up to that hype that he once had. The same with Bellis. I think, wait until Otamendi's done. Wait till maybe. I just don't think Stones' legs are gonna last for him. He's young, but I think injuries are gonna cost him his career. And then bring them in, because Garcia is a great technical. He's a great footballer, and he's a defender as well. And that's just, you don't normally see defenders who are very good on the ball. He's just a pep player. He reminds me of a very young Puel, very good on the ball, very very agile, very quick. Got a bit of strength on him and won't be pushed off the ball at any times.
Tom.
Well, I got a little fact here. I did the City tour yesterday. I went round because it's my birthday tomorrow. So,
right.
Yeah,
Happy birthday for tomorrow, mate.
Yeah, so obviously I went round and there was one blank space in the changing room. And the guys who obviously do the tours and they're inside the club, they all have bets and who's going to take the place. And they think it's going to be Howard-Bellis who's going to take the missing spot. So because obviously we've got Foden and Garcia are already in the changing rooms. Yeah. So if Bellis is coming in as well, that makes me think that they obviously might get used a bit more. Definitely.
Wow, there's an interesting point. So we'll have to wait and see. But they both. I mean, God, obviously Garcia, we know he's absolute class. We know that. Very technically gifted player. Taylor Howard-Bellis brings that little bit of height as well, which is something we tend to miss at the back, really, with Laporte missing and obviously Stones missing. So it'll be interesting. I can see them getting used sparingly, certainly in the cup games. And
definitely.
I mean, let's face it, who knows? I agree with Cal. Sometimes if you throw a young kid in and it doesn't work out, it can sort of really knock the confidence. But I'm hoping that these two, in particular, Garcia and Taylor Howard-Bellis will definitely get game time this season, and I think moving into next season, I think it only bodes well for them too. So moving on to, got a couple of questions left, and this is, you're going to hate this one, Cal. Do you think the Premier League is over, or do you think Liverpool will win the Premier League?
No, I think the Premier League's certainly not over. Anyone can still win it. It's the best league in the world, so anyone can win it at any given time. And the question is, do I think Liverpool win it? Personally, no. I think they're just not mentally there. I think, look at last season. You had Fernandinho out. And in my opinion, when Fernandinho's out of that midfield, when he was last year, he had no one who could replace him. Yeah. And David Silva was playing 3 roles. He was playing as an attacking midfielder, box-to-box, and as a defensive one. And you still won the league. Everyone was against you. They had the game in hand, and then you brought that back. Then you had the game in hand, and you just took the league away. How many did you win? You won every game, didn't you? After that one loss, I think.
Yeah. We went on a run. 17, 18.
And that just proved their mentality there. All the plans are all lovey-dovey at the moment because they've won 8. What is it like? They're breaking City's record over 2 seasons. City broke loads of records in 1 campaign. They're doing it in 2. It's not as impressive. And I think Liverpool have got to realise if they lose this league title again, that proves how embarrassing their club is. Because City have got Laporte out, Sané out. They've got Aguero, who possibly could be out, like you said before. Doesn't that mean something? That just proves how class Manchester City are. And people can go, it's money this. It's the class of the team, and it's the class of Pep Guardiola. And I think City, we're going to see another repeat of Liverpool giving the title to Manchester City again.
Really? Oh, you can come on again, Cal.
Yeah.
I was obviously watching the Sunday supplement this morning. I mentioned it earlier, and the love him for Klopp. I mean, it was yes, and if there's any manager you'd want Klopp, and you'd want this, and thinking, hold on a minute, one trophy in 4 years. One trophy, and forget the Super Cup nonsense, because that's like saying, well, we won the Asia Cup because it was just us versus West Ham, or it was us versus. It's an irrelevant competition. One cup in 4 years. And nobody ever mentions money. Nobody ever mentions how much money Klopp has spent. If this was the other way and it was about Pep, you'd get journalists going, hey, but hold on a minute, he spent 500 million quid. Well, Klopp spent 400 million.
Exactly.
And got one trophy in 4 years. So
if you look at it though, Andy,
it's
like with Liverpool, it's like the press, in my opinion, are so on Liverpool. It's like Liverpool can't put a foot wrong. They're like, oh, Liverpool this, Liverpool that. Man City lose 2 games. Everyone's like, oh, season's over. Sell this player, sell this, sell that. People were making videos calling it the rise and fall of Man City. Last season, they lost to probably one of the worst sides in Newcastle I've ever seen. One of the worst Crystal Palace sides, and you still won the league. It doesn't matter. And Liverpool, I just don't think they're good enough to do anything. I think Klopp is an overrated manager when it comes to Pep. No one's on his level. Pep has gone to teams. He went to. If you look at teams since him, Barcelona, I don't want to say they're terrible because they're still an amazing side, but they've fallen off since Pep left. Same with Bayern. It's like if you look at the teams when he leaves, they fall off because they don't know how to don't know how to handle the breakup, so to say, when Pep leaves. He's the best manager I've seen in my lifetime, and don't panic. You'll win the league. I think you'll win it again.
Tom, hey, follow that. Now I hope you're confident.
Yeah, well, obviously being a City fan, I'm going to say yes, but there's the big but. It's going to be tough for us now. We're 8 points behind, and if you look at their past few games, Sheffield United, Leicester, they've had the luck. That sort of luck is what gets you the titles, isn't it? Really. If you look at it, obviously, you could say this is a bad patch for them, but they're still grinding the results out. Yeah. I can still think we can catch them, definitely, because they can't go the full season with that sort of form and win every game. It's still possible, but it's going to be tough, and we need to do something in the January transfer window in the centre-back position to actually try and carry on the chase for the title. Definitely. It needs to happen.
Well, we've got them home and away, so I mean, we need to. You've got to suggest we need to win those 2 games, which will draw us back 6 points, which means there's 2 points to play with. But we're at the stage; it's still in October, but we cannot keep throwing away games like the Wolves game and the Norwich game, and because I'll be surprised if let's say City win both of those, which are going to be tough games against Liverpool. I can't see Liverpool losing two games for the rest of the season on top of that, which means we're going to have to be pretty flawless between now and the end of the season. So I keep saying it. Keep the faith. They've not had any injuries like we have. I mean, we're dealing with we've had Sane out this season. Sane, even if he's on the bench, is an amazing player to bring on last 20 minutes when you know, like last week, 0-0 against Wolves, and you're thinking, this is a perfect game to bring somebody like Sane on, but we haven't got him. We don't know whether he'll be here after January. We'll wait and see. We've had, obviously, Kevin De Bruyne is in and out with a few injuries. He's been brilliant when he's played. We've lost Laporte, who is world class in my opinion. And then obviously Mendy comes back and back out again. So I don't know. I still think we can win it, but I think we're going to have to be pretty faultless for the remainder of the campaign, which leads me on to the Champions League. Now, you two guys are a lot younger than me. As I've always said, and this is only my opinion, and maybe because of my age, but the Premier League is always for me the bread and butter. And the Champions, I get a feeling, and maybe I'm totally wrong here, and maybe I need to reassess my opinion, but I seem to get the opinion that the younger generation of football fans view the Champions League completely different to what I do. I mean, is that true? Am I being unfair on the younger fans, or is the Champions League, in your opinion, the premier competition that clubs have to win?
Definitely.
Cal, you go first, mate.
It's a very hard one to say because if you win the Champions League, then you're the best club in Europe. But it matters more, in my opinion, what you do on home soil. It matters that you can win 100 Champions Leagues but never win the Prem.
Yeah.
I think the Premier League is the main thing because then you can say I'm the best team in the country.
But not in Europe. But not in Europe.
And in Prem, the thing is, if you look at it in Europe, like Liverpool proved last year, you can have 4 bad games but still win it. Where in the Prem, you've got to be the best every game. And I know City lost 4, but he's with the best. After that, he's with the best team in the league. Liverpool weren't. Even in the Tottenham game, they were awful in that Tottenham game. I thought Tottenham, outplayed them. And I think I don't think it's gonna be like last year. I don't think any English club's gonna get close to it. I do think Ajax are gonna shock us all and win it, in my opinion. But yeah, they're just amazing. I just think that it is the big. I just call it the Nike of when Nike's like the king of the fashion world, and if you don't wear Nike, then you're not this. That's what the Champions League is. It's just about press and about money. That's all the Champions League is. It's the popular thing in the world right now.
Well, I mean, you only have to look at last season. The 2 finalists, obviously Liverpool, Spurs, and neither had won a title, Premier League title, or a title in combined. Was it 85 years? It's like, it's quite frightening. I mean, I go back to my day, and this is just my opinion. Is the European Cup, as it was called then, were for the champions of each league, and that sort of whoever won it then, it was, well, we are the champions of our own league and we play the champions of another league of Europe, and the winners of that, it was special now, and they're going to increase this as well.
Exactly.
So is it 20? I can't remember what it is. 24 teams into the group stages and things like that, and it's like, Jesus, it's like as Rob used to call it, the European Carabao Cup. It's one of those.
Say one more thing and then I'll...
Sure.
I think the Champions League, I think it shouldn't be this many teams. It should be the one winner, or maybe the 2 teams that finish top 2 from every league in Europe. And then it's the mighty, not the Kuwait, the team that finished like 4th in the Slovakian league. No, it should be the top 2 from every league. Yeah. Then it actually means something, not, because, come on, Arsenal, then Arsenal get 4, are probably going to get 4th now. They were happy with 4th for how long, 20 years. That's them in the Champions League. It doesn't mean anything if there's over 20 teams. If there's only a few teams in it, then it does mean something.
Well, that's why I'd go back to. They won't do it because obviously for money,
exactly.
For, and votes and things like that. But I'd go back to how it used to be, in my opinion. It's probably people going, "Oh, shut up, you old bastard." It's. I'd go back to the winners of every league, and that's it. It's simple. What's your thoughts on the Champions League, Tom?
Well, I'm a Premier League man like you, Andy. Obviously, I go for the Premier League every year. To go 38 games and to get a title at the end of it, home and away all over the country, and manage to get a Premier League title is the one for me. With the Champions League, obviously, like we were saying, you can have a couple of games where you mess up, whereas the Premier League, you have to be on the ball every single game, or try and be on the ball every single game. With the Champions League, it'd be nice to win it, I'm not denying that, but if for me, the Premier League is definitely the one that I'd definitely go for. Definitely.
So, would you like to win it just so that people can't keep coming back at City fans going, yeah, but when you've never won a Champions League?
Yeah.
Is it for that reason, or is it you'd really like to win it for another reason?
Well, from where we've come from, it'd be great to win it. To be honest, I don't really take notice in what people say because we're Man City. We do what we do. We don't really have to take other people's opinions and all that stuff. But it'd be nice to win it as a club more than anything else because obviously from what we've come from, it's just a great story. And to win the Champions League would just definitely make it the sort of like the tick off the list. You know what I mean?
Well, certainly this season would be great because David Silva's last season. It's the only trophy he's not won.
And obviously Sergio's coming to his last few seasons now, maybe. So it'd be nice for both of the legends, or definitely 2 of the legends that have been in the club over the past few years, to get the icing on the cake with the Champions League. Definitely.
Who knows? We might be in the Champions League final with Garcia, Taylor Harwood, Vellis as centre backs, and Phil Foden might get the winner.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
Anyway, moving on to the last question, and this is just all about, obviously, England lost the other night, and this is about internationals. And my question to you two, obviously, again, you guys are a lot younger than me. So how do you view international football? So I'll come to you, Cal, first. Do you watch it? Do you like it? Are you not bothered about it? Are you indifferent? Do you like certain competitions? Or
I
don't know.
I only like when it's the World Cup or the Euros, and I think that's the only time it should be on. Or if they're going to do qualifiers, do them when the season's over. Don't do them in between or just when the season's got going, because that's what really causes teams injuries. If you're going to do it a week after the season started, that player could break their leg and be out for the whole season. You're costing that team maybe their best player or their most crucial player. I think they should be in the summer. I hate watching it because it's absolutely boring. Because how many times we beat somebody 8-0 now.
Yeah,
it's just so boring to watch, and it doesn't mean anything. And I think you get England fans get a false sense of being safe in a way when we play in qualifiers, because we're beating teams so easily, and then when we play the big teams like France and Germany and Spain, we just get hammered. And I don't really care about international football. It doesn't interest me one bit. And maybe some fans, maybe the older fans or whatever, might call me an idiot for saying that, but I don't really like it. I think it ruins football.
Some might turn around and say, well, hold on a minute, this 2 week sort of like break or so was giving City a chance to get the likes of Stones and Kevin De Bruyne back fit. It's what are your thoughts, Tom?
It depends which way you look at it, to be honest with you, because obviously they're qualifying for the Euros at the moment, and it's sort of competitive. It's the international friendlies, when we have the international breaks for the friendlies, that I can't stand. We're playing pointless games and then there'll be pointless injuries. So like, I don't know, say England play Germany or something, and say, I don't know, Walker was playing and he got injured in a pointless international friendly. They're the sort of times where they're pointless in playing. But in the aspect of like the Nations League, that was sort of exciting because it was a competition and you had to go for a trophy. So it just depends on what sort of international competition they're playing in, or what like the event is as well. Depending
We're the Liverpool of international football. That's what England are.
Yeah, I agree with you, definitely.
We won it. Next time it's our year. Next year's our year.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
Completely agree.
Every World Cup, it's our World Cup, and it never is.
No, it isn't. You're right. Absolutely right.
So actually, I thought I was going to get a different answer from you two, being the younger guys, because I thought maybe you guys might be interested in internationals. You might have, followed them, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the older fan that the southern-based fans, maybe that because it's at Wembley, and we are certainly not many fans are going to go from the north down to London to Wembley to watch England versus whoever, Belarus or whoever. They're not going to. It's going to be hardcore fans that go and watched it, or schools and children and things like that. I mean, Wembley is just that white elephant in the room anyway, and it is a long way for people from the north to go and watch England. So I really thought you guys might have been more interested in it than you actually are.
I've been a bit negative. I'll say one positive in my opinion there's maybe one more negative. The positive is it brings fans together. When it's the World Cup, it brings us all together. We don't care about rivalries. I can say to a Liverpool fan, "Oh, come here, let's watch this game," and we'll have a chat about Everton and Liverpool peacefully. But when it's the season, and we do have our talks and we do fallout, because that's football. But when it's international, we can't put a foot wrong. You saw the videos of us all in Russia throwing beer at each other, just having fun, and that's what it meant. And I think the negative is, this is negative. I think Tottenham Hotspur playing in Wembley ruined what Wembley is, in my opinion. Yeah. Tottenham having that for so long, it's like, that doesn't mean anything now because it's Tottenham Stadium.
Well, on that, it's a good point, and we know obviously it's about money. I mean, they've got to recoup, the FA have got to recoup this money back, this 700, 800 million or nearly $1 billion or whatever it is it cost. They've got to somehow recoup the money. But just finally then, forget the internationals. Do you think semi-finals should be played at Wembley?
Who's going first, Andy?
You can, Tom.
All right. I think it should go back to the old sort of thing where they played like Villa Park or somewhere for the semi-finals. To be honest with you, when you're going down to Wembley for a semi-final, it sort of takes the buzz out of it, because when you go to Wembley for, like, I don't know, for the Carabao or the Community Shield, you go in to win a trophy at Wembley. Whereas if you win at Wembley and it's a semi-final, you're obviously happy that you've won, but you're coming back down to the same stadium to win the trophy. So in my opinion, it's that they played it, I don't know, at Anfield or our stadium, at Villa Park, somewhere before the main event. Then whoever does get through to the final, it's slightly more exciting because you're going to the national stadium and competing for a trophy.
Are we looking at this from a spoilt Man City fan perspective because we've been there that much? It's all,
No.
There was the joke that City are going to put a Southern-based training camp down there so that we can go and train there when we've been at Wembley that many times. I know certainly from me as a kid, up until our recent success, let's call it, 81 was or the Gillingham game, or very years apart. I mean, we've been going there for the last 4 or 5 years so many times.
I know.
I mean, I don't know. What's your thoughts on it, Cal?
I think Wembley. I think it's kind of. I think it's sold out. The FA sold it out. Like they pimped Wembley out for boxing events, for all these events, because it doesn't mean anything when you've got boxers and MMA fighters and all these concerts there. It shouldn't be like that. It should be what it's meant for: football. And I think semi-finals, like you both said, should be at the normal team's grounds, and the final should be at Wembley Stadium, no doubt. And I think it sounds weird, but maybe they should make a cup for Wembley instead of the FA Cup. Something for Wembley, so it actually has this, this meaning. And if you win it, it's hard work, and you feel happy and you feel excited for winning it. Not the Community Shield at Wembley. It should just be, if it's the Community Shield or the League Cup or the FA Cup, it should just be played at other teams' grounds.
If you, as an Everton fan, if you got to the semi-final of a cup competition, would you go to Wembley, Cal?
I went when we lost to Manchester United and we were absolutely robbed in that game. But, I just think it is hard, and it's a hard one to say because obviously if your team gets to the final, it's phenomenal, isn't it? But the semi-final, what's the point of going to London? Like Tom before, it ruins the kind of, that kind of feeling where it's a final feeling when you're in the semis.
Proper northern, that, innit? What's the point of going to London?
It's the money as well, isn't it? Because obviously we went down a few times last year, obviously because Tottenham played there as well, didn't they? So obviously it was quite a lot of money to go down. And I definitely speaking to some of the lads, because I was speaking to some of the Wolves guys and some of the Brighton guys, and I was watching some videos, and they were saying the same thing. Even though they don't get there as often, they'd have probably liked it better if it was at a different ground, because obviously, Wembley's a big occasion for those sort of clubs. And if they obviously played at a different ground, it gave them a bit more of a motivation to not only the players but the fans to spur the team on and say, look, if we win this game, we're going to Wembley and we're going to go and win a competition.
Would you rather win a cup in the Etihad or in Wembley?
I'd obviously want to win it at Wembley, because obviously Wembley's the national stadium and it feels great to obviously go down. Yeah, definitely go down and win it there. But it's just a case of playing. It's just like a normal game. It's the semi-final at Wembley is just like playing. I don't know. It's, for example, obviously the Carabao Cup. They don't play the semi-final at Wembley, do they? They go. Obviously, there's a home and away tie, and they do it that way. For me, that's how it should be done in the FA Cup as well, because it gives both teams a chance on their home soil to try and get a result.
Good points. Well, listen, guys, I want to say a massive thank you for coming on this introductory podcast. Tom, thank you so much for coming on, mate.
No worries.
Hopefully, you'll be on again. If you've got any social media, if you're on Twitter or anything like that, if people want to follow you, can they follow you? If not, don't worry about it.
Yeah. No, just Instagram, really. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, no problem.
I'll send you the the link and the email, and then you can put it in the description or something like that.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much, Tom.
No
Cal,
worries.
what about you, buddy?
I'll do the same as Tom, and I think I owed you coming on the podcast after, I bottled the face cam with Martin. I did owe you one. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a really good pleasure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, listen, you'll probably hear these two guys over the coming months on the podcast, because we'll certainly get them back on with Kiam. But anyway, this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. Don't forget, this is just an introductory podcast with the guys. Next week, Kiam starts his new podcast, and it's going to be full reviews of the Premier League fixtures, Man City. They'll be talking about football in general, and there'll be loads of guests on over the coming months. But anyway, this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you click subscribe, hit that bell icon, and that way you're notified when a new video comes out, which is every single day. And comment below if you want more of this, or you want to join us on Man City Fan TV. All you have to do is send us an email at mcfcfantv@gmail.com. Take care, have a good remainder of the weekend, and we'll see you soon.